So glad you could come along. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a James Beard Award nominee. The group includes our headquarters, Church Key, right here downstairs is Birch and Barley. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too, Brennan.
What is on tap this week?
So, we're still in the holiday spirit with Hardywood Park. And this is their Bourbon Barrel GBS. So it's based on Gingerbread Stout, which is their kind of most cultish beer that they make down in Hardywood Park in Richmond, Virginia, aged in bourbon barrels. And Hardywood Park's been around since 2011. They've created quite a following because they make outstanding beers. And we're lucky enough to get them not only in Northern Virginia nowadays, but also in Washington, D.C. The standard Gingerbread Stout is incredible, and it just keeps getting better. Literally, sometimes people say like, "Oh, it's different this year or last year." This year's version of the Gingerbread Stout was even better than I remember from last year. And so that base beer is an imperial milk stout, so it does have lactose milk sugar in it. Okay. The yeast can't ferment it. That gives it a little bit more of a sweetness. Some oats for silky quality. And then the big thing is the spicing. They use locally sourced fresh baby ginger. That's from Haselton Farms in Virginia, and then Bearer Farms Wildflower Honey, which really just kind of gives you alcohol without too much more richness on the palate. So there's the ginger coming in. But then they're also using some Madagascar Bourbon Island vanilla beans and some Vietnamese cinnamon. So a spiced, kind of sweet stout for the holiday season. This version, though, gets 12 weeks more aging in Virginia bourbon barrels.
Hallelujah.
So.
Handel's chorus. Is it Handel or Handel? Well, sorry.
I think Handel.
Okay. My mother used to sing in it, I should know. Well, that's real nice. That's fun.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It really is. Not ginger, not overpowering.
Yep. Not too much cinnamon, not too much ginger, not too much vanilla. Everything's in order, and the bourbon barrel aging is 12 weeks is quick, like 3 months. Fresh bourbon barrels that are local, so they're ready to go. But it brings in that vanilla, brings in that bourbon quality, a little bit of richness, toast, but nothing overwhelming at all.
Is it the vanilla that's given that coconut taste in the finish?
Yeah, the vanilla of the Madagascar beans, but also you get a vanillin quality from the oak itself that has a kind of coconutty cream quality to it. So, I mean, it's just I love this beer, and the thing I love about it is the variation. So you get the Gingerbread Stout comes out first. It tends to fly off the shelves. They actually send a lot more draft up this way, it seems, than bottles. So it was kind of hard to find, although there's still some around. Then they kind of swing in, luckily for us, with some of this bourbon version. If you are lucky enough to head down to the brewery itself, you can get your hands on a version they haven't sent our way, which is the rum barrel aged version. We can imagine why that would be good. And then, even better now, you will see on the shelves another variant, which is actually called Christmas Morning, which is the standard Gingerbread Stout with some coffee added to it, and it's absolutely delicious.
I love the label here. It's got a little gingerbread man in a bourbon barrel filled with, I'm presuming, beer. I mean, this could be me, except he's not fat enough. But I like the label. Contrary to maybe what some people believe, I don't spend 24 hours a day online researching beer. And I don't mean to offend these folks, but I've never heard of them before. And I love that when I get to be part of Beer of the Week that a brewery I've never heard of before. Yeah,
and they make a lot of really cool stuff too. So Hardywood Park, Eric and Patrick down there are great guys. Patrick's the kind of the brewing mind. Eric does the business marketing side, but I mean they're both very passionate about it. They met in Australia actually. At a sheep station where a farm where they're raising sheep for wool, which was called Hardywood Park. So that's why they kind of brought that back. They drank the guy who owned the sheep station's homebrew. They loved homebrew. They did it themselves. Eric did distribution work with beer, and it really comes out great. So the cool thing is they've got beers like this, right? But then they have amazing Belgian style beers. Their flagship is a Belgian blonde ale called Single. They make a very nice Pilsner that we're starting to see more and more of. They have an excellent IPA that you'd love called The Great Return. They use a lot of locally sourced ingredients. They do some local wet, fresh hop beers. Really great stuff. And one of my favorite pumpkin beers they make is from them. It's a saison first with a little bit of pumpkin and a little bit of spice. It's fantastic.
I love how sheep play a role in a critical role in this brewery. What would you pair this with?
So it's just, isn't it funny? You know, once upon a time we were just fighting to figure out ways to get people to even think about beer pairing in general, and now you get these beers that really don't seem to beg beer, a pairing necessarily, because they're kind of brewed on their own. But obviously, it's a dessert on its own. It goes great with pies and cakes and custards and ice creams and things like that. But I guess if you had to try to look for a different kind of flavor hook, you think about the ginger aspect in this. And I think that ginger aspect could be cool for, obviously, cuisines that use ginger. And I could see even doing this with like just a simple stir fry you do at your house. Some soy, some ginger, Chinese takeout, generally speaking, Mongolian beef. Those kinds of things that would be pretty
Mongolian
good.
beef.
Awesome.
Dynamite. They got quite the beer scene going on down in Richmond.
And food scene now, too. It's like blowing up.
And it's not that far. Just take Amtrak down, take a train. And they don't run that often, like if you're going to New York, but that's the thing to do. Go down, have a few, and sleep on the way back.
And that's, the cool thing is they've got this homegrown scene that's going on, and what you're seeing, I think, down there specifically is Hardywood, but there's a bunch of great little breweries opening up, and they're all pushing each other to do better beer, more interesting beer, more innovative beer. So that scene's growing, and then we've got Stone Brewing Company coming eventually, and then Virginia Beach with Green Flash. So, Southern Virginia's become pretty amazing.
I think some people in D.C. look down their nose at Richmond. My sister went to graduate school at Virginia Commonwealth. I love Richmond. She lived there 2 years.
Yeah.
And, if she hadn't, I wouldn't have spent as much time down there, so that's great.
Totally.
All right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, this is our last beer of the week for 2014 as we move into our 4th year. So I'm sure Greg would agree with me that we'd like to say thank you and Happy New Year. May you have a great 2015. Did I say everyone be sure to always drink responsibly? Well, there I did. And be sure to bring your thirst next time for another beer of the week.